welcome to IDDTalks. My name is Anastasia Lavrina, and today with me here I have a very distinguished guest, Dr. RobertMCutler, Director, Energy Security Program. Warm welcome to our program.
I'm pleased to be here.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for us to host you in IDD. And I would like to start with a question. You participated in a very important conference organized by other university and Air Center. You had a chance to participate in a panel discussion with Mr. President Ilham Aliyev, where a lot of questions about the regional and global politics have been addressed. Therefore, what are the key outcomes of this conference, that meeting, what will definitely benefit the better understanding of the region itself?
Well, as you know, my focus is on energy security, so I would speak about that in the first place. It became clear that Azerbaijan has a potential to greatly facilitate even more than it has done already, European energy security. What emerged from the President's remarks was his confirmation of the fact that Europe has to participate in a more thoroughgoing way. If we cover, I'll mention oil, which does not involve Europe so much, but also I will talk about gas and renewables. Natural gas is the main headline, of course, because Azerbaijan will be expanding its natural gas production in the near future. And Europe has expressed desire for that, including at the recent Council of the Southern Gas Corridor. The problem, of course, is that the Southern Gas Corridor is already full. In particular, the Southern Gas Pipeline is already full, the TANAP not quite. And therefore, what's necessary is greater investment to expand the volumes that can be transited. Here, there is a practical problem that in 2019, the European Investment Bank adopted regulations whereby it would no longer sponsor oil and gas pipelines of a long distance. Small interconnectors in Eastern Europe, yes, but nothing like would be necessary for the South Caucasus pipeline. At the same time, the Project of Mutual Interest Program of the European Commission, formerly the Common Interest Projects, which in the past had favored also oil and gas pipelines. They adopted at approximately the same time in the autumn of 2019, almost identical, similar regulations that restricted by themselves, they restricted their own capacity to support such pipelines. And
so
likewise,
what is the solution for that?
Well, they have to revise their policy. That's what the solution is.
Is it possible, because the countries, they have quite divergent vision of the energy policy, and the European Union has been criticized many times for an absence of one-sided approach when it comes to energy and security. So today, there are some countries who are more relying on green energy, the coal, the gas, or LNG. Those who are willing to work closely with the United States, let's say. Therefore, where is the solution? And in my understanding, Azerbaijan is still one of the key partnering country when it comes to green energy and gas.
Yes, you mentioned green energy, and we can also discuss that, in particular the cable for solar-generated electricity under the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea. The solution, or what's required of Europe, is to reverse its Green Deal policies. They are solving the problem of not having enough energy by deindustrializing, which is not good for the popular prosperity. It's not good for their economies. If you look at the various statistics, you will see this, so that they favor gas more than oil, of course, because it is supposedly a cleaner, quote unquote, energy. But still, they have the impression right now that the glasses through which they are looking at the world are the correct glasses. And what they have to do is to take the glasses off and look at it from the standpoint of others. And so what's necessary is that they reverse their Green Deal because this has led to more expensive, less efficient energy. And why did they limit their support for gas and oil pipelines? Is because this was part of the Green Deal, in the belief that there was global warming, carbon dioxide, and so on, the merits of which one can debate. But if Europe is truly interested in the prosperity of its economy for the benefit of its peoples, then the Green Deal is not delivered, and it will not deliver.
But
and
in the Green Deal and green development, it requires investments. So if the countries in Europe are willing to invest more to develop this sphere.
Well, it's necessary to distinguish between different countries and different regions. Right. In Azerbaijan, this makes sense because it's used to substitute for gas that can for gas generating electricity, and that gas can then be exported. There's a lot of offshore wind potential, and so on. In Europe, what the situation is that, and actually in general, the situation is that investments in solar and wind energies are less efficient. That is to say, you need to invest more money to get less electricity out of it. In addition to which, the solar panels or the wind turbines degrade and fall apart in 10 to 25 years, 20 years, whereas a pipeline, for example, can run for 50 years or more. Right. And so from a standpoint of economic efficiency, it's not the best investment. But for whatever reasons, the Green Deal was at the source of the decision by the European institutions to step away from oil and gas pipelines. And so what's necessary is a recognition that this decision needs to be thought about again.
So Azerbaijan is investing a lot for the development of green energy, and even when it comes to the fossil fuels, still a huge work is being done. But you are, as a very good expert with a global understanding of the situation, what will be your recommendations? Where do you think Azerbaijan should invest more or develop the cooperation with Europe, with Asian countries, with the United States if needed, with the United Kingdom? And where do you see the real perspectives for the upcoming 5 or 10 years?
Well, but in order to answer that, let me touch on the green energy that you mentioned in more detail. As you know, there's the project for Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, and Kazakhstan to export through a cable to be laid under the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea.
It was signed during COP29, right?
Yeah, to export electricity to Europe. Now, what's necessary there is that there's 1.5 billion euros in investment that nobody knows where it's going to come from. This is something that Europe has to consider, whether they will or will not provide this. Now, so far as Azerbaijan is concerned, for the export, and we can touch on oil if you like, from Kazakhstan into the BTC, if you like, we can talk about that in a moment. But Europe is not the only source of demand for gas. There is to the east of Azerbaijan, to the south of Azerbaijan. There's now a global market in liquefied natural gas. So that it could be exported to the coast of Turkey and liquefied and then sent anywhere through the Straits of Gibraltar, So that and this did not exist. This global market for gas did not exist only a few years ago. So that Azerbaijan is well placed to continue developing the gas resources that it has, because with appropriate commercially viable transport market, this will be always present. Although there will be a little bit too much LNG on the world market in a few years, nevertheless, it's good for Azerbaijan to do that. As for green technologies, it can't really be exported. The electricity cable, the problem is that you can put one molecule of gas into a pipeline on one end, and you'll get one molecule of gas on the other hand. It doesn't happen with electrons in electricity because there is something is lost in the transmission. The signal degrades in the transmission. I costed out, in fact, once the line under the Black Sea and calculated what would be the cost of the equivalent amount of energy if it were generated by natural gas. And without counting the investments in the solar panels, the transmission alone costs 4 times as much. So there are reasons people prefer it, but again, it's not the most energy economical way. So that Azerbaijan can use the solar energy from Karabakh, for example, for its own domestic consumption. And that's very good because it doesn't have to build domestic pipelines to deliver the gas. So that's good. It's that these technologies of wind and solar, they have their niches, but they're not a cure-all for energy, and even the most honest proponents of it never pretended in the beginning that they should fully replace gas, oil, coal, and nuclear.
Of course. That's exactly what I need to know more about the situation here. And one more question. A lot of talks going about the relations between Azerbaijan, South Caucasus itself, with Central Asia. And you yourself mentioned Kazakhstan, that indeed one of the top priorities to see if, with the help of Central Asian states, we can enlarge the scope of Southern Gas Corridor and also in the sphere of green energy transition. So where do you see the potential of the Central Asia, and which countries exactly can work closely with Azerbaijan for the benefits of our 2 regions and Europe itself?
Well, just to mention the oil from Kazakhstan, that if it were possible to expand very greatly the capacity to take it across the Caspian Sea to enter the BTC pipeline can hold as much oil as Kazakhstan can put into it, which is right now not very much because of the restrictions. There just aren't enough barges available. They're trying to fix that problem. But as for Central Asia and the South Caucasus, it comes to the question not only of energy, but increasingly the Middle Corridor, and for which the bilateral cooperation between Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan, which goes back to 2017, is really the key. It's the main trans-Caspian axis, and Azerbaijan has done a great deal with other Turkic countries to make this possible. And of course, now there's a report by the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development in 2023. In the spring, there was another report by the IMF in 2023. There's a lot more investment flowing into Central Asia for these purposes than had been expected more quickly. The Baku-Tbilisi-Kars Railroad, as you know, has been upgraded, and that's finished. It can now take 5 million tons a year. So if we're talking about cooperation between the South Caucasus and Central Asia, it's not only energy anymore, it's also supply chains and transit routes, not to mention also raw materials and rare earths that could be mined in Central Asia and then put on cars and carriages on the Middle Corridor and then go west through the BTK to Europe, because they will require these, if they first of all intend to ramp up their defense production to assist Ukraine, these will be necessary. And even if they wish to manufacture more wind turbines and solar panels, also these rare earths will be necessary. So if that can be implemented, that would be very slightly outside the energy field. In fact, today one might say it's an important add-on to the energy cooperation.
Well, Dr. Cutler, thank you so much for joining our talk.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and to talk with you again.
Thank you.